단데니마 다다간레스나더니 주지자와 장치를 때 봉반 나와 있는 거와 바바토샤스 스케레스.
And so now in the text, the root, and we have moved on to the fifth. The root of the Dharma is Bodhicitta, the mind of enlightenment. Abandoning it is the fifth downfall. Openly admit and confess the fifth fault.
드니 장치를 셈세한데다 주지자와 장치 셈선가더니 드니 다소 다더니 장치를 셈세한데 삼지구 공방 토벌시바다 드니 다 간서리 연나 대초과 맨나 탑차과 그것도 늦지긴 말해서 디짐생들은 그것들이 간서리다 드니 자와 셈나 드렸어 하고서
And so Bodhicitta, the very root of the Dharma, it is the very root of the Dharma and exactly what is needed to be able to reach Buddhahood. If you have it, then there is the attainment of the level. Without it, you have cut off the possibilities.
장집 그 셈 빼면서 그 가서 그랬다. 또 삼지그 고만 더 버셔봐라. 아니 가서 시바해 봐. 저 삼지 그 고만 더 버셔봐대. 아니 샴팽 그 셈이 통발했어. 샴팽 그 셈이 정말 다서 다 샴팽 그 셈, 제한테 컨트롤했는데 장집 그 셈세요. 이 찍발해 되네. 근데 다서 다 되는 샴팽 그 셈데 메송아이나 아니 삼지 그 고만 되게 제요 말 같네. 근데 이제는 산지 공업 토비하고 답심해 말이. 근데 이제 다소 말하고 산지 공업 토바 제발라 장지 셈세야 되다 가서 그랬다. 드니 가서 다 맨날 메테메 봐. 됐다고 지금 좀 생각이 그 주고 잡아래였어.
So this mind of Bodhicitta, the wish to obtain the perfect enlightened state of Buddhahood for the purpose of all sentient beings. And so, as it's said, that the perfect Buddhas are born through the thought to help others. The perfect Buddhahood is reached through the mind of altruism, the mind that focuses on accomplishing others' purpose. And so, when we say the altruistic mind and bodhicitta, they are synonymous. It means the same thing. And without bodhicitta, there is no cause for Buddhahood. Bodhicitta is the very cause for Buddhahood. It is indispensable. And without it, to reach the perfect enlightened state of Buddhahood is not possible. The mind of bodhicitta is the root of the Dharma.
근접 장치를 셈다. 아니 돈담 장치를 셈셈 된다더니 나만이 된다. 다 덴바니라더니 장치를 셈형 나만이 쓰든지 제쳐버려 했어.
And then bodhicitta, there are two divisions. There is relative bodhicitta and ultimate bodhicitta, which can correspond to the two truths.
근데 근접 장치를 셈세야 되면서 가장 시바에 봐. 또니 스리니 당담 바래 했으니 냥지 되니 젠돌라 못봐 아니 셰르 적상라 못봐 된다고 그러는 스리니 당담 바대 되니 가서보다 근수 장치를 셈래 했으니.
And so a relative bodhicitta is endowed with two aspects, as we discussed briefly last night. The aspect of compassion that focuses on others, and the aspect of wisdom which focuses on the perfect attainment of enlightenment for oneself.
네, 돈담 장치를 셈세 내가 됐으나더니다. 돈이 똑비고 근데 돈이 사통분이 돈이 원선도 똑바로 왔더니 사주자비가 사통분이 되니까 돈이 원선도 똑바로 뒤값들라더니 돈은 장치 그 셈세 돈이 원선도 똑바로 했어.
And ultimate bodhicitta is achieved when we realize emptiness directly. It is achieved at the first bodhisattva bhumi, the path of seeing, when one has directly realized emptiness.
근데 인터넷에 가서 말았었더니 다 타바 진부의 주념을 봐. 타바 진부 그랬더니 연애바지 인다는데 가발다고 그랬었더니 타바 지종 샘질이야. 샘질 장적 그 샘질 유였다 매바데라 따고 그랬어. 이 장적 그 샘세야 돼. 요송바이나 그 타바 진부념을 그랬어. 아니 연애바지 같은 장적 그 샘데 매송바이나 아니 그 타바 진부념을 받는 랭켄더니 자꾸 말했어.
The vehicle of the Mahayana, the great vehicle of the Mahayana, depends on this mind of Bodhichita. Actually, it is whether or not one engenders the mind of Bodhichita that one is then considered a Mahayana practitioner or not. If you possess the mind of Bodhichita, then you are a practitioner of the Mantrayana. If you do not have the mind of Bodhichita, the wish to help others, then you would not be considered a practitioner of the greater vehicle of the Mahayana.
장집 생근염에도 쪼차려 버리 마도더니 장집 그 샘다 매소와이나 다 그안세 그랬더니 코더니 타바 진분 염세된 받고 나왔더니 가서 그래 냠는 짬봉 특례 냠세 가를 랭게 연나요 대가서는 당가서 가서래 타바 진분 염에도 저 자꾸 말했어.
And of course, this is the case in the secret Mantrayana as well. Practitioners of the secret Mantrayana must hold this enlightened mind of Bodhicitta. It is really the principle, a part of the practices of the secret Mantrayana. Without this motivation, without the enlightened mind of Bodhicitta, whether one even engages in practices such as the channels, winds, and drops, one would not be considered a Mantrayana practitioner, a tantric practitioner. And so now we'll move to the next one, the sixth. To disparage one's own or other spiritual traditions is the sixth downfall. Openly admit and confess the sixth fault. And so whether it's one's own spiritual tradition or another spiritual tradition, if we put it down in any way, speak negatively about it, for example, saying, oh, that religion is no good, for example, then when one speaks disparagingly in this way, then this would be transgressing this vow.
tawa mandrawa, chunta mandrawa, tanda yung chokpachi kres. Tawa tang chunta mandrawa tani yung kres, yung na yung ke yung mares.
And so within all of the various religious traditions, there are many various different views, very many different traditions and philosophies, but actually there's no problem with this.
Tawa tang chunta mandrawa te 간도지 용거에서 나더니 샘진도소 냠셀랭 샘진도소라야 감당 왕부 무반 작은 말했더니 만다 용지 다소 텔라 뚜이달이나요 따와 전타대 용거 만다와 거는 용쓰기랬어 용거랬어.
And that there are these different point of views in the different religions, different philosophical thinking, different philosophical dogmas, and so on. The reason for this is that, among all of the people, we have many different mental capacities, mental needs that need to be met. And so as this is the case, there will be these varying views and philosophies.
만족받에 간주제에서는 대가서는 이게 좀 다르지. 내가 있다고 내 때에서 약술에서 약보래. 거기 대가서는 약보 말했으니 니전 랑그 때라더니 또 봐지. 장그 때라 마바지. Bodhichita Bodhichita Zatong Chupase Chandu Yore, or Tenditaso, Tendigi de Latin Garsana, Koran subject Yores.
And so it says to disparage in our text, or to put a religious tradition down. For example, if we think, this is, one's own religious tradition's view is the most superior and the others are no good, and we, for example, say, this, my religion, my religious tradition, they are right, the other ones are wrong, their philosophy is no good. When we speak in this way, then this is what is then a transgression of this sixth vow. This becomes a downfall. So we should be very careful here in this sense.
So, Penatani Nambi, Chunian Maimba. Then Nachu Maimbi, Jantaka, the Nikonserta, should be Trentalas or Trentatan Mamboyova, Trenta Mambo, Sola, consultant Garsenatani, Ni Consult Trentaya Poyomaris, Consult Garsenatani, Consult, Chiropa Resin, Delachi, Mabatan, Tendritin Garsenatani, Ginatin, Tigumaris, and also Consult, Nambaga Tawa, Trenta the Pay Apoyos, Console Apoyomaris, and Tendricida, Chabarici, Mabatawalas, or Tendricinatini, when Nambi Chutam Tingumaris, the Garsen, Tendricinatin, Tigumaris.
And so, when one thinks in the way that their tradition, for example, is a Buddhist tradition, and then there are, of course, all of the other non-Buddhist traditions, of which there are actually so many. And one thinks and says that, those non-Buddhist traditions, they're no good. The Buddhist traditions are the ones that are good. So actually, and we say that, don't go and get involved in that tradition, do the Buddhist thing. That's what you should do. And ours is the good tradition. So when we speak like that, actually, it is a downfall, and it is not in accord with the Dharma.
Today, so gently, Mamba Mayamba, then the Shirupi Tawata, Jumtala Sopa, Tozo Angela, Tozoyang Tanita, Cronsolatin, the Pantoyers, the Jamambola Pantoyer, the same Jamambola Pantoyer, Careres and Adene Consovio, Jambatam, Zevat and Chitalina, Consobi, Yamanchigir. Today, indeed, the same Jamambola Pantoyer, the Carsana, Consola, Tuni Pantotani, Mandava Yorova, today, indeed, the Carson, the Zola Tanit, Coron. Tana Jankoyata, so Yamsamana, I want to sola Karsana, Mabatan, couldn't do last of that the Jiggy ridiculous, shoot on Tangumares, the Regina, the Conservative, Jigumares.
And so these many different philosophical systems and religious traditions, they actually benefit many people. They help many others. They help many others in just the way the others need to be helped and need to practice. So for all those people that belong to those religious traditions, it's actually very, very beneficial. Even if it isn't something that we are involved in, we should not put them down in any way. If we put them down, it's really it's not correct.
Tang Lamga de Garson, no trade but in the Hakoy and the young, also called a control us about the Chiamares. Karachigures and also call it the Nyanjigo Gores. Did the Sobatambu chapter say, tell it to the Garson, Nyanjigo, the Digitalina, Jerry Matos, Jericho de la Nepataya down, Garson, the Junjichella Sopa, the Garson, and you don't think Mares.
And the Buddha has even spoken about this in saying that although there may be faults in those other traditions, seeing faults in those other traditions, that we shouldn't get angry, it shouldn't upset us. But rather, if we see another tradition and we know there's a fault with it, then we should approach it with compassion. Have a compassionate mind for that situation, and be patient and forbear that, and approach it with a compassionate mind rather than putting it down or pointing out any faults.
Ning around not sugar tene. Tawata. Then do Gumba Yam selling Kenji in Big Chani. Tini Nambat and Telamusita, Chirobas and Tela Chaber and Kanayomars. But also it's Chatsong, Tela Chaber Meba, the Niggers and Atene, Conservative, Jambatan, Nyonji Guni, Simjin, Sama, the Jampan, the Drugova, Tenji, Jampan Triade, Chancho Simbi Jubarwa. Tremato Chancho Simbi Jubaga, Chirupi to Simjing to Namaviata, Namato Lapanta, and Gimaris, Chancho Simbi Jubala Chaber Kanayomare. Simjin Silla of the Niggers and Atene, Tab Mandawa, Tab the Council, Kala Conde Simjing Tunjigava, the lady in the Tasotinita, the La Carsanatini, Masu Pandoxavi, Yir de Latin, Chapertani, Yomaris, Simjin Latini, Digniton Canal Candle, Yola, Tela Chapermeba, Simjin, Chambaton, Sivachiniam Silenata, the only charge of Simbium and Chakras.
So actually those others are no different than we are in many ways, and as Buddhists approaching things through the having a view and meditating and having compassion and so on. And as Buddhist practitioners, we aim to help others. We aim to engender the mind that focuses solely on accomplishing the purpose of others. And that doesn't just mean, to help other Buddhists. It actually means to help all other people, all other beings who have difficulties or suffering. Help in any way we can and by many various methods. That is what we look to do, what we look to do. And so we shouldn't look at the non-Buddhist traditions, the people of non-Buddhist traditions, any differently. And now in the text, propounding the secret doctrines to beings who are not fully ready is the seventh root downfall. Openly admit and confess to have had the seventh fault.
Tendra same Sanji in Badeka, and Consul Naval and Romatini. When a Niantu Tao, Ram Sanji Tao, Consul Latanicas, same Sanji Resina, consultating Anjola and Roma. They go good and Lola Shongumas, Tendra and Tazo, Consul Latanicas, and Tendra with Detany, me Consul Shasombaina, Consul Loctata, Chia, Kurata, and Regeras. And then the Jigger de Latanicas, Tendra with the Sangu received the lesson.
And so as it says in the text, propounding to beings who are not fully ready, or we could say not fully ripened, for it can be the fact that they just don't have the kind of faculties, the mental capacity to take this kind of information in, to really understand this view. If they were to hear, the mind is the Buddha, then for them, for example, for the hearers or the solitary realizers, the Shravakas, Prajika Buddhas, for them this just doesn't fit into their view. There are many for whom the profundity of this just cannot be fathomed. They can't fathom the profundity. And due to that, then this will create a wrong view for them, or they may misinterpret the meaning and then put this down as well. And so it's for this reason that, as the text says, they are called the secret doctrines, because not all people, there are many for those who could not understand that the mind is the Buddha.
And now,
for the eighth, reviling the aggregates, one's body, which is the embodiment of the five Buddha families, is the eighth root downfall. Openly admit and confess the eighth fault.
차버드 가르선다더니 다 가서 그랬더니 자자 침보도 좋진라서 뭐 깜대랑 알아서 그 봉보대 가르에서는 봉보대 제비기 찡컬라 산지기 찡컬라 든지 예니 되니 넘버 딱봐 되니 가서 그 제비기 찡컬서나 하다 든다더니 뭐 뜻든지 나요래서.
And so, within the practices of the secret Mantrayana, and especially within Dzogchen and Mahamudra, then this very body, the aggregates of the body, are perceived as the mandala of the victorious ones, the mandala of the Buddhas. And it is viewed as the completely pure, the primordially pure mandala of the victorious ones. That is what we are introduced to in the secret mantra.
근데 내가 소그랑 이제 그 봉봉가 때가 앉아서는 제가 링이 그때니다. 가서 상징하게 다니라 던지나. 아니 가서 뭐듯이 세고나 던지지 못되나요? 그래서 못돼요. 그 예니 나라서 봉고도 예니 나 문나버다빠 된다고 되니까 그랬습니다. 그 봉고도 소리 봉고라서 방 그거랑 근데 예니 나버다빠다. 제가 링이 좀 던지게 말했어. 이니 가서 용왕가서 지금 봤더니 다 봉봉가래 용왕가로 왔더니 사치면은 그 용왕가때 예니 예무가라고 하시나. 된다고 그랬잖아. 돈이 못 줬지네. 다 된대이들 추탐전 돌되나 예니 남발 딱 봐. 된다고 그랬더니 강서 그랬답니다. 가방 한무거로 하시나. 된대다 좀 그렇지가 된지 되나. 딱비기 좀 걸라. 다 된대 못 줬던데 제기요 말했어.
Then this the aggregates of the body, this are 5 aggregates. We are introduced to the understanding and the perception that they are the 5 Buddha families. They are the 5 Buddha families, primordially pure, completely pure. This is what we are introduced to, all of these 5 aggregates, the body, the feeling, the perceptions are the 5 Buddha families. And the 5 elements, they are the nature of the 5 elements, fire, water, wind, etc. And are the mandala of the completely pure mandala of the gods and goddesses. In the secret Mantrayana, this is how we understand the form, the aggregates of the body.
근데 나도 제 담자되니까는 나 이미 딱 봤더니 제가 링이게 정말로 봉본들 가서는 선진하게 다니진데 소아이나 당하로서 뒤진데 되니 갈락사비 그 같다라 사마사비 그 같다라 답변지가리 요래서는 내가 알아서 되니 상콜 탐지 총콜 같은 줘봐서 다른 그 리때 제비전 그렇지 않습니다. 런데 리때 제비전 그런 정도도 될라더니 갈라라서 봐요. 다더니 가서 신바당 되니까 그래서 된적이 되니 가서 그래. 다 사와 마임바 되니 가서 총콜 같은 줘봐 피라. 다 된지고 요래서
When we are taking food, when we are eating food, then we perceive that we are making a soak offering to the 5 Buddhas, the 5 Buddhas of the aggregates. It is a soak offering to the mandala of the deities of the 5 Buddha families. And we eat without attachment, offering it rather as a soak offering to the mandala of the body.
왜 된로 답비가 따와지 요소마이나 다간선다 랑리제비 정거를 왔더니 근데 인디다서 랑리제비 정거를 때라 갈선다 되니 초건 줘봐더니 가디나 배야 총걸 거래 걸급 열어와 아니 쇼자양 통고 말에 인공 칼라가 싸고로 온다 칼라가 싸고로 근데 제대로 가서 니 말을 이제 니 가서 총걸 거래 걸급 되니 배 되니 망보여래서.
And so, using such a pure view as a soak offering to the mandala, the deities in the mandala of the body, we have a lot of opportunities to do this every day, to view this in such a pure perception. So we eat in the morning, right, and then we take lunch and we have dinner. So actually we have many opportunities in this very way to take this path of practice of offering to the mandala of the body.
탐망과 까와메바 세트 텐데레 바던데 갈라치 사나양 갈선한테 총거렇게 쳤던 저기 총거거로 왔다 찍바로 왔더니 텐데지디 됐더니 탐망보러 왔대 탐망한테 까와양 시다 요마 왔더니 근데 네 갈라사야나 갈리 친구 열었더니 요마를 뒤진드 사다가 열은 로션 되줄라 사기 열어와 근데 인데 담무스럽게 될라 갈리 친구랑 지잡고 말해 텐데그 샤르탕 셔라 가래 소자 친구 사다고 열어 근데 손놈 자친구서 손놈 나오니 총커는 쳐보세 근데 손놈 다음 찍는 조금 걸로 손놈 그 나오니 총커를 쳐보세 손놈 나오니 총커를 쳐보니까 상당히 많이 찍대 손놈 나오니 총커를 쳐보세 손놈 그 나오니 촉도 제로와 돼 가르스는 촉진 걸로 조금 쳐봐 해야 돼 근데 던져 그렇게 딱 봐요 거라 던져 찍을 때니까 가르스는 이시 땅 던져 그랬더니 네 탑당 안 가지 있는다 가디 있나요 총커를 조금 쳐봐 비춰도 그랬어 던져서
And so we have opportunity for eating every day, so we really have a great opportunity, and we can take advantage of this every day and actually gain a great deal of merit. For it's said that among all of the accumulations of merit, the offering of the Gana Chakra feast or the offering of the Sok is the most supreme. So we can, we always have an opportunity to do this. We can do this in the morning, in the afternoon. Actually, we have constant opportunities to do these Gana Chakra offerings.
Tela mopa Japanese kada, Hombo Sanjinga Danina, Ila Mapatana to Greve. Nintukumarva Cassin, General Mapatana, Sanji Cassin, Junkurla Mapatama, what interest, Tenente. Nugio Mares, take us and Natani, also the Mapatama, or only the Pemas, Sachin Win, number Tapajeri Chinkore, San Tender, Tanata, Ichigo Gonitin, Sangoto, Sokonchopanos in Pena, Sunum Jachin Sakares.
So when we, then there is the line in the text with reviling the aggregates, one body, which is the embodiment of the 5 Buddha families. When we perceive our body to be the mandala of the Buddha families, is there any way that we would put it down, we would defile it or denigrate it in any way? It won't be the case when we're perceiving it in that way. And so when we have this pure view, and offer in this way without defiling it and saying, oh, that, you know, just calling it an ordinary body or putting it down, then we will actually be gaining a lot of merit.
Ini zibola katabla sopri getini jinang tugiyo mares katab sena hagoso katab jini tini zibotela pa nitan kawaji ni karsana ta ko deoshena tisula kala masara watani ni tisula kala masana tugo toko marwa tani tisula kala masana tugo toko re ni zibola yongtani jun jabe nyenka yorwa tani je somba ina tani zibotela katab ji bares tani katab ji bares tani yongtani tugo mares somba res tani.
And it's also said that going through the different physical austerities would also come under this category of not respecting one's body or reviling the aggregates, not treating them respectfully. For example, if we don't take our meals on time and we skip our meals and so on, then we get hungry, and actually there's a possibility, you know, that there's some danger. You know, we can have some problem with our health when we don't eat correctly as well. So also, whenever we put our body through certain kinds of austerities, this falls into the same category. And so then you should all just make sure you're really eating well. Make sure you continue to eat well. And so also then you can, sometimes have a chang or wine, offer this to your body as the soak offering as well.
Yeah. And the ini zipo kam karen do soso karen sasa marwa karen thong samna soso doba chi yorwa o tetni tin sanong soso tamji pa tene songkol kse tene choba fi tene chena de yores ande dikumare de nyangumare sin tene mambozo de kumare.
So really, whatever, foods and drinks that work for you, whatever, you like and kind of works well for your constitution, eat that, drink that, offer that to your body. It's a good accumulation of merit. It is a good Gana Chakra offering.
tela nipchi tawanyang mare chirongso gzbote betsa chembures tene akoso chirongso ta jige no sanji ge rongjen tonada ta dilego za chemburo watene jerwi ge jengkur jera rimi jengkur da maso jerwi ge jengkur onada dilego za chemburo wa de minna yang chirongso ge jila changje ge semda tende yori chuzu changje ge semde zbote la libote la tenyor wa tende yang za chemburo wa ta counter zbote tene taba chembu ge chunyam sele maji de za chembures tene 어떤 게 있어서 자체 모임 받에 모시 달리나 대라양 어떤에 그 거던 어떤지 딱좀도 야보지고 그랬어.
And so we should continue offering to the body in this way, not regarding different things as I should eat this, shouldn't eat that. Just continue what you enjoy. Make it an offering to this body. This body is very important. It's actually very sacred and precious, right? It's really the mandala of the 5 Buddha families. It is extremely sacred, extremely precious. It is actually the support for this enlightened mind of Bodhichita. It is actually the physical support. And so we should take care of it very well and really respect it and take care of it very well. And now on to the 9th. To be in doubt regarding all phenomena being naturally pure is the 9th downfall. Openly admit and confess the 9th fault. To be in doubt regarding all phenomena being naturally pure. So we have naturally pure. And the meaning here is that it is of primordial purity. It has been pure from the very beginning. The ultimate true abiding nature is the nature of primordial purity. And according to the great perfection, then this very base, the basis of phenomena is primordial purity. And it is in this way, it is not that there are some things that are not the basis of primordial purity and then are some primordial purity, but that this is the very essential nature of all. It has been primordially pure. It has never been any different. And it is because the very basis is the basis of primordial purity that when one attains the fruition of the Dharma Kaya, the Dharmakaya Buddhahood, one attains that level, it is because of this basis of primordial purity that when we gain fruition, this is the fruition that becomes manifest.
Ramjin tapi chunam la chutamji ramjin yini number tapare sedita somnya sava gwayin sanatela tesun sani chutamji tapa inamana pachiri insa mare sani tene 어떤데 제성바이나 아니 가르쳐 그래서는 아니 자동 그와대더니 장로 레시비 던데스.
And so this nature of phenomena being naturally pure, when we have any doubt about this, for example, oh, I wonder if it's really like that, maybe it's not really like that, I have a suspicion, okay, maybe it is. Whenever we have any doubt regarding the true nature of phenomena, then that is what transgresses this ninth vow.
다가 남진 가르스는 추탐체 그가라서 그 냠슬량그 질름지고 제당 람당 지고 질름지고 그런진데 이니 딱바래 했으니 어떤 송거였어.
And so we have a naturally pure. So naturally meaning the very essential nature. And so we can look at fire. What is the very essential nature of fire? The essential nature of fire is heat. And we should understand that the very essential nature of all phenomena and of the ground, the path and fruition is this complete primal purity. And so when we don't believe in the very nature that is, this very pure nature that is, and we create any kinds of doubts, this is what transgresses this ninth vow. And in the text, always holding dear poisonous companions is the 10th root downfall. Openly admit and confess the 10th fault. And in order to tame sentient beings, then the Buddhas manifest in both, they do this through both peaceful and wrathful means. They do this through peaceful manifestations and wrathful manifestations.
Sangngak
And what we should understand is that within the secret mantrayana there are a lot of the wrathful manifestations of this activity, and what we should understand is although they are wrathful in outer appearance, the essential nature is actually that of great compassion.
Tendo yodita su tuzon dareyaga nyamgu tela yankar sana tenita cho jiksarongba patana teni pemas vikane teni zoma taba teni cho se gorba teni namba krishanga daleni shivi gundirma taba cho goni dareyaga tala teni reteni ka semjengu donzayaga tammanrawa teni nangayo pares.
And so there are some people that have extremely strong negativity. They are wrought with very strong afflictions, and they actually need this wrathful activity to help to tame them, to be benefited. they cannot be benefited through the peaceful means, and as they cannot be benefited through peaceful means, then the Buddhas then engage in the wrathful activities.
그래서 남자가 가르쳤는데 number 2 그걸라장니다. 가서 그 시위들 맡아 작품을 찾고야 또 심진 망보라 노바체 등에도 탐쳤으니까 코딩은 그 진대 매바체하게 쳤다. 그리고 들고 그래 맞고 거들을 지나다 잠바당 형제고 자산을 그 말과 코딩은 뭐서 안 그래서 된다고 그랬더니 형님한테 진주야가 탑시라 니초 그러잖아 심진도 손들이야다 된다더니 다 상각 그가라 자주심이 탑랑기 같은 용기여 버렸어.
And so they appear and act out of this aspect of wrath, this wrathful activity, in order to tame these beings, to cut those that are difficult to tame, those with strong negativity, so that they no longer are collecting the negative karmas and no longer causing the harm to many others that they may cause. But we must understand that this is actually out of the true and pure compassion, so that the evil ones do not collect any more bad karma. So this is something that we must understand. They tame many beings. This is using one of these very rich in methods, taking the wrathful method and putting it to good use. And now in the text, to conceptualize phenomena which are free of labels and so forth is the 11th downfall. Openly admit and confess the 11th fault.
마음속에 주는다 제가 대간들에서 나타니다 마음속 가서 리피기 딱 상시한바 주줄 동반이 그더니 돈다 소리했더니 주바당 자와 대가서 나타니다 대가서는 타지던데 리여바래 오나 메바래스는 가서 남똑 보니 콜은 제트부 말아 왔더니 콜은 제트부요 말 어떤 데서는 이나더니 더리고요 말했어.
And so free of labels and so forth, to conceptualize phenomena. So last night we talked a little bit about this rationalization, this analyzation, but actually things are free of any elaborations. They are free of labels and so forth. So we don't. So we should not conceptualize through conceptual thinking. We shouldn't examine in this way.
어떤 데 냠냠당 남이 당나라 소바다 몽고지 고그러와 던지기다니 냠냠 찍으러마 또 리파게 딱 상셔가 건다지 드니 가서 그래 니츠도 상와 탁주지 더고 말했어. 왔더니 다들 가서는 드니 던져더니 제송바이나 다다 동주식바도 잘 그래시던 됐어.
And so then we have some who are just stuck in analytical thinking. They just become mere analytical analyzers, dry intellectuals who simply approach things through thinking, through conceptions, trying to resolve that which is beyond elaboration conceptually. Rather than through the Lama's liberating pith instructions. And so this is not something that works. We should not approach this through a conceptual way, conceptual thinking, and be stuck in just this mere analytical process. And so to conceptualize phenomena which is free of labels and so forth, if we then are just engaging analytically, then this is what is transgressing this 11th downfall.
심진다 당담바이 심신진바 전이바스 전이 두번 도로샤스
And in the text, to cause regret to arise in the mind of those with faith is the 12th downfall. Openly admit and confess the 12th fault.
다 대간은 심진 다바당단바 심진 다바당단바 그 심진바서는 된도 다바당단바들더니 그런 마다바게 되니 지체바 어떤 지나더니 영더니 되게 말했어.
And so it says to cause a regret to arise in the mind. But actually, this is, for example, if there is somebody who has a great deal of faith, they are endowed with faith, belief, and trust, and then we say something that leads them then to doubt their own belief and faith, or to lose their faith and trust, then this is the transgression.
ini semjin korautani da jini shiba ma kamo mu bodin traga mares korautani chu 강la 다바요나 람가 강la 다바요나 대 람가 되다 오 저런 그 람가 되다 야고 말했으니 그래서 저런 그 람가 된다 된데 그 가르 준는데 요르스나 코스는 노적으로 왔더니 무슨 같으니 니 거라스나더니 고글라더니 컨셉을 그 심진 바세나더니 고글스나 쭉 그랬어 근데 있는데 그것들이 마틀바 착각을 왔더니 마틀바 잡듯해서 된지를 때더니 제 요 말은 코라운 람당 쭉 강원아 단나요 가르스나 텔라지스바 이런 바지네 근데 제달이네 근데 거기 텔라 된지를 맞았어 제가 되겠더니 텔라 마틀바게 되니다 그땅 준지와라서 봤는데 지나 됐더니 가르스나 그 말했어.
And so there are many different and various beings. We all have various tendency and different things that we are used to and that work for us. And actually, whatever works for a person, whatever helps them actually, that's what's most beneficial for them. And so we should not point out any faults about this. Pointing out that, oh, you know, there is a mistake in your view or a fault with your religious tradition, because that will cause them to lose faith in their tradition. And actually, it's whatever helps a person that is the most important thing, whatever works for them. But if we cause them to lose faith, then they will not continue to practice on that particular path or in that particular religion. And then they won't get the help, the spiritual guidance that they need. So rather than pointing out any faults, we should rejoice when for someone and with someone when something is working for them, rather than pointing out any fault in it. And in the text, to not rely on samaya substances as they are to be engaged is the 13th root downfall. Openly admit the 13th fault.
아니 담스 그 지세야 되더니 다더니 막 가라더니 담스 그 지세 되는 망보여랬더니 앞에나더니 올라메 그 갑다고 지기나 무슬 때더니 조금 걸로 거래야다 손걸 거래야다 담스 그지 되니 샤당 창라서 봐그 담스 그 지고야다 다 담스 그 텔라 지인자마다 창고야 다더니 무슬 때니 망보지나더니 용거여랬어.
And so we have these different samaya substances that are used within the tantric practices, especially at the time of the Gana Chakra feast. Then the substances of meat and alcohol are said to need to be complete at this time for these rituals. 가서 서로 감나더니 사마야 세게 사마야 세대 간주에서는 사마야 세대더니 담치라고 그랬더니 담치 되게 돈당대 간주에서는 되게 돈당대 가서는 얘니 딱 봤던 게 얘니 년반이 있던 게 년반이 해봐 정은이스 정바 많이 봐 정은이스 매봐더니 년반이 그 돈을 년반이 년반이 된 zonzeni 매바데 인zen 매바데 인zen 매바데 냠바니 사마야 세나 가르레서 사마야 그 돈한테 냠바니 그 돈다레스. And so sometimes with in these different rituals we will hear the Sanskrit word samaya, which is the word for this word here, the sacred commitment, damtsik, the sacred commitment. And our sacred commitment actually comes down to the equality of all phenomena, that which is free to any subject-object fixation, that which is of the perfectly equal nature. So when we have not realized the equal nature of all phenomena, then there is still dualistic fixation. And when we have a dualistic mind, then there is still the path of what to adopt and what to discard, differentiating things that are good, bad, things that are to be taken up, or things that are to be avoided because of our dualistic thinking. However, when we have realized the equal nature of all phenomena, then there is no longer any good or any bad. But whenever we are making any distinctions, such as this is okay and this is not okay, then this is a sign that shows that we are not at the understanding of this one nature, this one taste, this equality of all phenomena. And in the unsurpassable Yoga Tantra, then the use of these substances is also prevalent. There are the 5 nectars and the 5 meats that one partakes of. And these substances are employed as methods for us to help abandon the dualistic clinging, for example, that tries to avoid, abandon in a dualistic way. For when we see things in their equal nature, there is no longer any clinging to them as good or bad, and so then we transcend this dualistic thought that wishes to abandon. For example, when we see this as, this is a meat, something to be avoided, this is meat, and this is something else, but we actually transcend that with certainty, and we partake of things through the understanding that there are no differences between any of them. And then we have the within the tantras, the inner and the outer tantras, and within the outer tantras, then there are a lot of focus on the certain rituals of, for example, cleansing rituals and things of being like pristine or clean in a certain way. So that's their focus. Their focus is more on these cleansing rituals, cleansing cleanliness, and so on.
니 남지 됐음 그 갑자라 가르쳐기르서는 남지 나라메 그 남지 됐음 가라 zam에 인생 같은 저 가르서는 또봐 제 무슨 그 최당 장자라서作为제가 단지야 말했을 때 이가 지금 말했어 이가 뭐제바 아니 사대용 가르서는 때문에 사 야민 상막 갑라 사 야민 손들 제가 단지 당가당들이 먹는가 그래서 먹는 제가 지금 시와가 말했어 그래서 정말 대가서는 나와봐 때문에 라랬더니 나와봐가 나와봐 나라메가 나 제가 가라 사 야민 금 니가 말이야 그래서 금 니가 말이야 나와봐 가라 아니 사양한테 야민 금 니가 그래 근데 샤가 들스 나라서 그냥 템버시게 그래 근데 이제 던져 같은다 컨셉 상하가요 사 금이야 땅 던져 그 가서 라서 따와 땅 금비군이 잡으려 그랬어.
And then within the categories of the three inner tantras, then they are focused more on the methods to realize the non-dual nature. They don't focus on the aspect of making any of these cleansing rituals or cleanliness or anything. They don't make any distinctions in this way at all, but rather focus on the realization of the non-dual nature. They also utilize the meditation of the deities in union, whereas in the outer tantras they do not meditate on the deities in union. On the inner tantras, then one does visualize the deities in union, and also then there is the use of the samaya substances such as meat and alcohol and so on. So there is a difference in the view here.
아니 담스도 지라 소바 그래서 담제 영가서나 되다 주진도 되니 해마다 넘바 가서나 된로 배나 샤당 초지다고 제가 빼자 봐이나 근데 샤장 남아 된데 있나요 그 가서나 되니 뭐 이니 딱 봐게 되니 그 된로 그랬더니 아영디다서 다 그거 가서나 되니 될라더니 잡을시고 말해서 그뭐 남바 만들어 잠지 그 람진이 이니 딱 봐라 람진이 이니 딱 봐 인디 타서 던져고 그랬더니 가르쳐놨다 가서 그래 따와당 또봐 유비게 땅에 근데 지대는 저진 땡거래 마도요 이거 담스 그 지라서 가서진 마텐 손바이나 근데 조선바 아시네 근데 또가 가서 못된바는 조선바 조선포바 돌로샤 아세가 진짜 또 조선바디 착가래시 던져했어.
And so again, there are these samaya substances that we use within the tantrayana, such as the meats and the nectars, alcohol, and so on. When these are being partaken of in these different practices and rituals, then they are partaken of through the view of perceiving their complete purity, their primordial purity. There is no distinctions made in the substance that one is partaking of. And so if one does, on the other hand, then differentiate the differences between the samaya substances while partaking of them, then this is what actually transgresses this 13th vow.
아니 변매셔 ramjinla shirab ramjin benmela mobarsheba juje poban tolashas.
And in the text, to disparage women who are the nature of wisdom is the 14th fault. Openly admit and confess to have had the 14th fault.
뭐야? 당나까 깔라가르서나더니 부모도 솔라더니 고사 전부 떼자 그랬더니 고사세나 하고요.
고사 전부.
고사세나 톱당. 톱당 지금 목만이 떼자 그랬더니 완전히
고사 전부.
고사세나 톱당 해야 돼.
And actually, according to Tantra, women are extremely powerful.
톱당 흔히 떼자 그랬어. 톱당 고가 부모 자녀세 따당성 뭐저도서라 따당하고 이세게라. 죽으나 목만이 걸었더니 송샤 걸었더니 잡으립시에요 말았으니. 도매세 되더니 만바지 연바당 가르스나더니 근데 맞아와 연바더니 되니 가르스나더니 요 말았더니 나그 갑대라더니 무슨 그 갑. 근데 셰럽 가라지 송다가 셰럽 가라지 연바서 톱당 전부 떼요 그랬어.
And so they're considered very powerful, never mind having equal rights, but actually within the texts they are treated equally. Within the tantric text they are considered very equally. They are never considered with any faults of uncleanliness or regarded in that way at all, but rather within Tantra then women are regarded as being the nature of wisdom.
Oh 근데 인디 다소 갔으나 분명히 때 갔으나 산책하시다 코랑트니 강세를 다때스 고지와 만바인 바당 지와 만바당 되니 가르스나 분명히 때니 코랑 맞장베 ramjenres니 맞장바그 ramjenres니 되리더니 니 시바튼 리요레스 옛날용으로서 흥학적인 걸라 시기들이나 던지지용이 돼서 던지겠더니 가르스나 삼모도도 담지 봤더니 이거 그랬더니 이어 말했어 담지 가르스나 주담지라 이와메 봐 이니 담지 딱 봐라 Tene indi taso tene tane karsana ta po tamche karresana pau gramshin ratene pau gramshin mo tamche pamu gramshin tamche sherp gramshin tene chi ku karsana tene konsubreta tawa tang topa samna tene yogu rest.
There are some places in the world who consider women, females, as the lower class. They are regarded as a lower class or unclean. But that is not at all the case in the Tantric Mandala. In the Tantric Mandala, this view is completely rejected, but rather than women are considered as primordially pure, as brave, courageous, and endowed with wisdom. This is the view within the Tantrayana.
뭐 탐짓 빠무 그라운신스 빠무세나 가르데스 세계에서 셰르프 그라운신 라고요 찍바래 근데 송여레스
And so then actually a correction here, then in the Tantrayana then there are the male are considered as having this aspect of courageousness, whereas the females are having the aspect of wisdom.
근데 가시가야 된대요. 뭐 가시가 한거랑 닙지동 그러거든. 닙지동. 나다 변멸에서가 본물행이 리가 되는 정거 말했어요. 소소소소 같은데 인데 두거랭인데 정거에 삼지가 삼노때 요 말했어요. 어떤지 지나더니 소소소소 같은데 강서부터 닙지동 말로 그러더니 소소가 함신데 뭐 말씀 말했어. 연당 문제세들 잡으려 말했어. 본무게 리텔나야 상지고 공부 독특 그래. 그게 있던가요? 산지고 공부 좀 쳐버렸어요. 강들은 물리더니 단조기 리튼 송열에 맞췄더니 법무겠더니 잡을시에요 말했어. 제 이거 말 같더니 이거 말에 단리인데 다섯더니 갔으니 가서 그랬더니 다 라운게더니 다 단조기 리튼 토리 여바텔라더니 가서 그랬더니 네 자친구 임바다 대거 함신데 무시비 그거니 되니 소소라 가서 그래. 당인데 지나면 주도나 적적거려 밀리가는 지난 정거에 삼지더니 가서 그래. 대랑거랑한테 뽑아대 보고 그랬습니다.
And so there are actually some women themselves who feel inferior and even consider themselves inferior, and then they kind of put themselves down in a way, thinking that they are not worthy or able to engage in something, to do something. But we shouldn't disparage. If we are female, then we shouldn't disparage oneself. One shouldn't put oneself down because one has, attained a female body. Because actually, what is the most important thing is that we obtain the body of freedoms and leisures. Having obtained the body of freedom and leisures is what is the most important thing, whether one is a male or female. And so this is what we should really essentially identify, that we have this human body endowed with the freedoms of advantages, and actually so we should be kind of confidently inspired in that way.
Mepata, ni jiwa mambare sen tendu ku karsene mepata ni jula sopa tendu che songa yana na so manya pselen kenji ni ta tom juje de charu re shi bi tonde juje popan to shas.
And so whenever we denigrate a woman who is the very nature of wisdom, thinking of them as inferior, a lower caste, or speaking negatively about them as a woman, then this is what transgresses this 14th vow. When mantrikas relinquish these faults, the siddhis are certain to be achieved. And so, knowing these 14th vows and what transgresses them is very important, because once you need to know them, and then you need to practice. And when we engage in the practice, that is how the accomplishments are achieved. And so that's what it says here in this first line: when mantrikas relinquish these faults, the siddhis are certain to be achieved.
On the
other hand, when samayas are transgressed, such degenerate individuals will become possessed by demons.
Pena danzen tang, daktan zimba tang, teni karsana randol sokpa tang, danzen tosu shikchimbo yona tosu la dilla gures. Heli loksa chirwa gumsir ka dittenri che yomares.
And so what is meant here by demons or maras, one will be possessed by demons or maras? The meaning here is the maras themselves are the dualistic clinging, when one has strong dualistic clinging, clinging to a self or a self-interest. Besides these, there are no other maras.
tumken지가 간려요래서는 나랑 속에 샘です. 나랑 속에 샘데 ninzim 때니까서 딱단 점발라 속바당 된저게 되니 니 식전부 요소에나 되거든니까서는 니미게 니라요 되니 그때니 지그랬어. 시바에 맞더니 산지그 공통톱나요 샘데 도그러 왔더니 니로는 전화요 샘데 되니 링만 받잡진 쌓야당 샘데 되니 쌓다가 근데 샘세야 되니 받침 버렸어. 저게 되니 연구요래 담식 차념 라 속바당 다 된저서 나더니까서는 니미게 내가 그랬었던데스.
And such a being will experience much suffering and eventually arrive in hell. And so what is it actually that leads us to hell, to rebirth in the hells? It is actually our strong afflictive emotions. As we said before, what actually leads us to Buddhahood? What is the source of attaining Buddhahood? It is the mind. And in the same way, it is our strong negative karmas and our transgression of vows that will lead us to the hell realms.
Teni semde pa sheshang tulwa chinira, sem shiwa chini. Teni ngarji yuwa sem shiwa chakamar watani. Ngarji ta kontroni chikbar watani. Ngarji yuwa sem shiwa chakamar es. Teni yedite ngarji kumasa masomba sem shiwa chini, sem garanjin te teni hakuwa chikure shibiton res.
And eventually you will arrive in hell, therefore you must understand perfectly. And so we must understand perfectly, and we should not be proud. We should not have a great pride. there is a fault in that. If we have a great pride, then our mind doesn't rest peacefully. It doesn't rest in equipoise. Actually, there's no difference between having strong pride and anger. In this context, with pride, strong anger, one will not be able to abide peacefully. With strong pride, then it is the same way.
Daniel mantra shibarsha, Daniel sena Daniel, Ranga Senatini, Gonka, also the Ranga Ramjin the Haku, Ranga Ramjin the Haku, which is all in the Trigumar. Kazani Shiba, also the same thing, also the Tani Shures. Ina also the Tani shooting, also Yandula Kadina, Jedayora, Ina also Mushigi Yomaris.
So this is what we should understand perfectly. We should understand this self-clinging. But we should understand, as it says here, therefore you must understand perfectly. So we must understand perfectly our own nature. And our own nature is actually so close to us. We are never without it. It is always there. But it is what we need to be able to. It is what we must understand.
Maraso semne so semla charji yore charji yomara so semne kandechi yema charji yomares yenayo ti jindetni nyamdo droyero yenayo maraso ta ni shuta ti jinde nyamdo yoreda yenayo maraso semla charji yomares.
So this very thing that we must come to understand, this mind, it is the closest thing to us. It is always with us. And yet it hasn't understood itself. It has not yet understood its own nature. Had it understood its own nature, there would already be Buddhahood. And now in the text, begin by settling in meditative equipoise, then offer whatever enjoyment one has to the gurus and take refuge in the three jewels.
Any number shapi lama la chimjil by choshini is anatomy. Then lama ni bin choba ase. Then the Chitan Tango Yellow Dambatang, and the Yellow Chivala sofa, that the Mangoyora, but the Gonian and Chitan in Choba Cheguri, be understood.
And then offer whatever enjoyment one has to the gurus. So, for example, we can do the 7-line offering, the 7-branch offering, the 10-branch offering. There are different levels of these offering prayers, but for example, we can make an offering of the 7 branches.
Lama Yedam Kandro Zawasum la Senat Regretini. Zawasum, Shitana, Kunchosum, Nantana, Zawasum Ravatini. Somasana, Kusum la Somatozonga, Japson Rosak Yetches, Javier. What was the time she let the Nickers and Latini? That the Niconsultini, the Gentin, Japson song, the Yalab Dambala Sopaguni, Chubapi, what the Rigidali Latini, Rangasem Latani, Yamachibu Recipe on this.
And then we take refuge in the 3. And what are the 3? They are the Lama, the Yidam, and the Dakini, or the 3. So the 3 jewels, or the 3 roots, or the 3 kayas, depending on whether they are the inner, outer, and secret offerings. And so these are actually the object of our offerings. So that's what is meant here by take refuge in the 3.
Any Tambokas and the Jamdula Sopaneson, any Jamdrochi, any Chancho Semso, Dombana Sendra, Chancho Sem, Dombala Sopat, and Chancho Sem, Dombata Sotanjin, Yamnenchi, the Rigidalina, the Rambajin, the song of Nakatanikasana, Tawa, Tapton, Mr. Tapton, Sherla Sopatozonium Selenta Hakugurva, but the Rigidin, the Domba Sumir Watani, she's so terrible, Shansum, Sawarins, and Nakadombas, and the 냠는 차성 때때라든 차다 그랬어. 어떻게 지달리는 냠는 공이 펠라 지달리. 근데 냠는 제국을 해시비 돈랬어.
And now then the text continues, regarding the various other vows, such as those of Bodhichita and so forth. And so what is meant here is, so first we have made our offerings, and then we take refuge, and then we recite the Bodhisattva vows, the Bodhichita vows. And then through the view with the view and the wisdom, and through the many various methods, then we this is and the so forth, such as the three trainings and other recitations and so forth. And so we continue our practice in that progression.
근데 이제 성악과 돈바세야, 성악과 돈바세야들라 돈바 오마 자상대야 되는 리다요 같은 데서 돈바 쓰미요 같은 시소터를 나오샹스 성악을 생각하고 돈바세 말에 하고예 시소터 그 돈바 시소터 나오샹스 성악을 생각하세요. 근데 돈바더니 쓰미요 같은 돈바 쓰 시소터 그 돈바 아니 나오 장첩 셈비 돈바로 성악을 생각하고 돈바로 생각하고 돈바세는 가래 탑당 셰르 일 같은 탑당 셰르 일에 되게 하고 그랬다 할라다래 탑당 셰르 얘기 또 나. 되게 탑당 셰르 되게 너무나 되니 돈바 오마도 자상거로 되니 상하다고 같은 게 됐어.
And so when it says recite the vows of Bodhichita and so forth, there are the three categories of vows, not the three trainings, but the three categories of vows. So we recite the individual liberation vows, the Bodhichita vows, and then the secret mantra vows, the secret mantra vows of method and wisdom. And so actually all of the lower vows are included in when one recites these, then all of the lower vows are actually included within these.
근데 도지 타바짜비 똥바 소분 따양 진짜가 족소거든. 아니 자동 집시에서야 되는 저는 시야대 가서는 소분 따양가 근데 지 인자는 같은 지게 했으니 제그 공부했다 근데 송바레스.
And in the text, if one wishes to benefit oneself, such a mantrika should strive in upholding them. This completes the teaching of the root downfalls of the Vajrayana by the Master Ta Yang. May all become auspicious. And so this is what we should aim to understand perfectly. So does anybody have any questions?
What is the difference between Mahamudra and the four dharmas of Gampopa? Are they a different path?
남 가까마를 남 찍바를 남 찍바레스 다포 추시 대랑에 가서 이제 맡은 제당 람당 되게 따와 곰바 쥐반 쥐든지 지자와 임받는 어떤 지달래는 다포 추시 대라요 자제 전부부터네 가서 따와 곰바 쥐반 쥐버를 맡는 어떤 지달래는
So then the path of the four dharmas of Gampopa and the Mahamudra are no different. They are the same path. And as I briefly explained last night, we explained how the view, meditation, conduct, and the fruition correspond to these four dharmas of Gampopa, and so actually they are the same path.
The difference between being analytical in our approach to a spiritual study as opposed to following the pith instructions and following the guru, how do we make that transition between my highly analytical mind and spiritual study?
답실 제당 답실의 제국을 답상자니 제국 말했어요 말 답실 제국을 했더니 이나 무슨 염내라 되니까 서부터네 시금다 조금세 니요라 그래서 시금세야 되게 갔으나더니 답상 시국을 왔더니 답상 시를 가서 다음에 세나 가르리 강사가 다음에 세나 가르리 리비 마땅한 미시 제국이다 미시 제약의 제도 담보 시국을 했더니 시했다네. 근데 시한이 미신이야 성나다 양철 시했다고 그래. 근데 뭐로 말아? 들리지디 따서 들리 봐 조고 그랬어. 조금씩 들리지. 근데 담바들로 냠냠 써가지고 시한적 뺄마 제거했어. 시한적 뺄마. 뺄마잖아 그래. 되니까 냠도 삼삼마스 리모진 시한적 뺄마세 그래. 담보 시아바지. 되니 시한적 뺄마지로 봐. 타마데다 같이 그랬으면 조파코나. 그래서 되네. 조파더니 시아바 딱선지 무거웠더니. 된지 조파코나. 된지 되는 남 그런 바코나 냠스레 또 드리어스.
And so, it's not that we don't need any intellectualizing or analyzing at all. Actually, we do need that. Actually, there are the two. There are the analytical meditation, the two categories of analytical meditations and resting meditations. And in the beginning, then, we need to engage in the analytical meditation, for example, in analyzing to come to an understanding of selflessness or emptiness, for example. But once through analyzing we have come to understand the meaning of selflessness or emptiness, do we need to further analyze? Then no, at that point we don't further analyze, but rather then we turn to the resting meditation. But until we come to that understanding and certainty and ascertainment, then what we do is we, like in turn, we kind of alternate between analytical meditation and resting meditation, analytical meditation and resting meditation. And then once we have ascertained the meaning with certainty, then we can stick only to that resting meditation.